Hello everyone and welcome back to A Couple Books. This is Couple, as per usual. If you guys were not aware, it was Valentine's Day recently, and I saw on Constance the Reader's booktube channel that there was a lovey-dovey little romance book tag that I wanted to do. Yes, Miss Nova, I know, you love the romance. It's called the Lover's Hearts book tag. It was originally created by What's Just Reading, and I found it on Constance the Reader's channel, so be sure to check out both videos. They'll both be in the description box down below. But because Valentine's just passed us, I wanted to do a little video to commemorate the holiday, even though it's past it. So with that, let's get started into the questions. There are a total of 8 questions in this book tag. So first one is, I love you. What is your all-time favorite romance book? As you guys know, I'm not a huge romance book reader. I am trying to change that this year. I have a few in my TBR pile for the year. There will be romance this year, I promise you that. But in the meantime, we haven't read a lot of romance. So I instead thought, what is my favorite love story? I tried it to be different. I tried to choose something that was not necessarily on the top of everyone's mind. And so I'm going with Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. This is a wonderful story about a man who's trying to get back to his wife. He wakes up in a life that is not his life. He is in his body. He goes by the same name that he's always gone by, but this is not his life. This is not his career. This is not who he is, and he is trying everything to get back to his wife. Honestly, if that's not a love story, I don't know what is. So that is going to be my I love you answer. Next one is Be Happy. What is a book that makes you incredibly happy every time you read it? And I'm not going to lie, this is a weird one. I'm choosing Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. You might be like, Couple, that's not exactly a happy book. Well, I dare say I disagree with you. Well, if you guys don't love the love story in Mistborn, then you just don't have a heart. In addition to the fact of that, there's also the fact that every time the balls go on, my heart flutters. I don't know what it is. I don't necessarily like balls, nor do I really envision going to balls, but for some reason I just love those scenes so much. I love her getting dressed up in these outfits that she is not accustomed, she's not comfortable for, and for her going to these crazy, pretty dangerous situations at these ballrooms, and just the relationships in this book. I cannot get through that series without smiling a crap ton. Even though it's got a lot of dark moments, I always love reading Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Next one is Date Me, a book character that you would date. For this one, I also tried to think about someone that's necessarily not always on the top of our minds. We should love everyone all equally, and so I'm choosing Elwyn from the Lord of the Rings series by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is Elwyn. If you guys have not read the books or not seen the movies, then you guys would not know this character. She's not necessarily a super primary character. She is kind of secondary. She has a slight romantic interest in Aragorn throughout the series, but the reason I really loved her and really thought she was fantastic is how strong-willed of a character she was. She did not back down from she did not back into the corner because society demanded it. She did not stand down because society demanded it. Her entire livelihood was in danger because of the dark forces that play here, and she decided to stand up and take a stand and go against it. She also respected boundaries quite a bit. I loved when her and Aragorn had their kind of heart-to-heart moment, and she realized that she wasn't necessarily the one for him. Overall, I really just loved her character as a whole. She was a fantastic character, and she was so strong-willed. So that is who I'm going with for this one. Next one is 3.5. And this is Text Me. Would you date a non-reader? No. Moving on. 4. Dream On. What is your favorite romantic setting in romance books, and what would be your ideal date? For this one was a little bit harder because, as I said, I don't have a lot of romance books underneath my belt. I don't think I technically have any romance books underneath my belt, even though I read a lot of books with romance in it. So for this one, I decided to go with one of the few books that I would probably classify as part romance, and that would be The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, written by V.E. Schwab. I'm choosing this romantic setting because it's not really a romantic setting in particular that I'm about to think of, but it's the bookstore. So if you guys don't know, in this story, this is about a girl who's like 400 years old, I think, and Addie, she is basically stuck in this loop where she can't die, she's not growing old, but no one remembers her name. So she's immortal, but no one remembers who she is, and it's very devastating, it's very sad. Read the book if you haven't, it's a great book. I'm about halfway through it, if I'm being honest with y'all right now, so I have not finished it. But when she meets the guy in the bookstore and he remembers her, I was like completely like, I'm like, oh, bookstores is where the magic happens, people. Bookstores, bookstores, bookstores. Therefore, I'm saying that my favorite romantic setting is going to be a bookstore because I think bookstores are just where all the magic happens. And in terms of my date, I also wanted to think who would be a fun date to a bookstore, and I, for some reason, who came to my mind was Luna Lovegood from the Harry Potter series. Don't know why, but Luna Lovegood, I think, would be an extremely fun date at a bookstore, even though I know she's happily married right now, so it would be a platonic date, but I think it would still be super fun to go to the bookstore with Luna. I feel like she would just like know some crazy, weird stuff. The books I would purchase would just be extraordinaire. But yes, also, future wink and you know who, bookstore dates. Bookstore dates. Okay, moving on. Kiss Me, your favorite romantic scene from a book. This one is going to be in Michael J. Sullivan's Area Revelation series. I can't remember which book it's in. I think it's in the main series, but anyways, that's not important. What's important is what happens. And what happens is Gwen Delancy. Gwen Delancy is this amazing character within this fantasy universe. She kind of is on the downs and she's hit rock bottom, and she is currently working in a tavern that's owned by a horrible man, and she is basically being sold as a prostitute, and she decides to kind of make this her own and to take power of the situation, and I love that in a strong character. And she decides to basically collect the girls and go across the street to this completely ruined building and build it up and build up this fantastical house for her and her lady friends. The amazing part of the romance story is that she basically receives a prophecy of some kind. It tells her that someone is going to need her in the future and she needs to be ready. And she prepares, and she never knows what's going to come. She just knows that it's coming. Her moment of need is arising. And she runs into Royce. Royce is the main character from the series, and Royce is, you know, if you guys read the books or if you haven't, Royce is a very indrawn character, not very out there at all, but over his relationship with Gwen, she's able to pull him out of his shell and really speaks to a beautiful relationship that they built together, and it was just absolutely fantastic. I loved the scene in which they first initially meet because she's just so incredibly happy to finally be there for the person that she knew she had to be there for. She didn't know who he was, she didn't know when he was coming, but she had faith that he was going to show up, and he did show up, and he needed her help desperately. And that scene, just like, wow, like I get chills every time I think about that scene. I get chills every time I reread the series, and she gets ready for his arrival. Like, it is creepy. It just, ooh, goosebumps. Okay, moving on. Let's party. Which 3 book characters would you invite to a party, and why? This one is actually quite simple, surprisingly. I'm choosing Jack Townsend from the Tales of the Gas Station series. My reasoning is that Jack is weird, and Jack sees weird crap, and Jack attracts weird. And what is a good party without some weirdness? My next one is going to be Dandelion from the Witcher series. It's always good to have someone who can sing at a party, and also Dandelion is the life of a party. Let's not lie to each other. The next one is going to be Killy from the Hobbit series by J.R.R. Tolkien. I love Killy. Killy's got a good sense of humor. Not like in the books, kind of, but in the movies, for sure. I love Killy. I think Killy would be a great addition to the party. Next, moving on, 7, You Rock, a romance book you would recommend to everyone. If you don't read romance, recommend any other book. And I'm going to recommend a book on this list, and that's going to be Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. If you guys have not read it, this is a great mystery, thriller, sci-fi book to get into any of those genres with. It is fantastic. And like I said, there's a inner love story heart in this book, and it really adds depth to the story. It makes it a thrill ride. It makes you emotionally connected to the characters and what he is going throughout his story, while he tries to figure out why he's in this life that is not his, and tries to figure out a way back to his family and to his wife. It's an absolutely wonderful story. Moving on to the last question, and that is, Be Mine. What is a book you really want to read/own? I was kind of thinking, like, what's a series that's got a lot of romance in it that I want to pick up? And I have heard about the series on and off again, and I've been told to pick it up. I've heard it kind of die down, and then I've heard it kind of pick back up again, and that is going to be The Raven Cycle by Maggie. Steifvater, I think. I'm so sorry, but it will be down below, so you guys will see it there. This series, I hear, is a great fantasy world. There's a lot of great, amazing characters, elements in it, but there's also a lot of amazing relationships in it. So, that is a series that I want to pick up, want to read. So, with that, I think that is the end of the video. Dog's calling my attention. So, happy Valentine's Day to you guys. In terms of tagging, because Valentine's Day is over, I don't want to pressure anyone into doing this tag. So, if you guys see it, you are more than welcome to do this tag. Please feel free to do it. Be sure to check out the owner of this tag, or the creator of this tag, and Constance the Reader's book channel. And don't forget to give them all the loves and likes. If you guys have not yet, why don't you just comment down below what is some of your favorite romance books? Maybe recommend a few to me. And while you're down there, if you wouldn't mind liking and subscribing, it'd mean a lot to me and to everyone here. So, with that all being said, have a wonderful day. I hope you guys had a beautiful Valentine's Day, and I will see you guys later.